Greetings again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs, and in this edition, we take a look at the many strides, the significant strides made by the Command's Diversity Plus Inclusion program since its inception 3.5 years ago. Joining me to share that update is OSI's Chief Diversity Plus Inclusion Officer, Ms. Jakki Dixon. Jakki, welcome to the program. It's so great to be talking about D+I with you again.
Thank you so much, Wayne, and I look forward to our conversation. I've enjoyed the various podcasts that you've produced over the last 2 years or more, and each one I learned something new about one of our teammates and or a program. So I look forward to providing an update this morning.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that free plug. I appreciate that very much, Jakki. Now, since our last podcast together, as you mentioned a couple of years ago, the Diversity Plus Inclusion Initiative has moved to the OSI Force Development Directorate. Now, what's changed as a result of that move?
Well, thank you, Wayne. The intentional move of Diversity Plus Inclusion to Force Development has been fairly transparent to the command. As everyone is aware, Force Development is one of our newest directorates, and I moved and my position moved effective last June. So I celebrate my 1-year anniversary in Force Development.
Well, congrats.
Thank you. It's been exciting, actually, to be a part of the directorate standing up and embedding Diversity Plus Inclusion into the various Force Development LOEs. For example, how we look at the synthesizing of the total force career field development and enhancement, our talent management and retention efforts. Right. And really the focus is on the career life cycle of our teammates. All of our Diversity Plus Inclusion efforts continue to align directly with the OSI strategic plan, line of effort 1, to develop and sustain an exceptional force. And one of the key areas that I've noticed and advantage that I have is that I have a closer communications with our career field managers in the RKB, along with our AFPC career field teams as needed. And this has been instrumental in gaining additional insight into OSI's developmental processes.
Now again, I was going to say, Jakki, pardon me for interrupting, just for our novice listeners in the audience, the RKB, of course, is the Russell Knox building where OSI headquarters is located.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And one of the things that our teammates may or may not be aware of is that OSI had the opportunity this past March to brief the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Brown, on our Diversity Plus Inclusion journey, as I like to call it, because we're learning something new every day as we pursue this journey. So when we were able to brief General Brown, we talked to him about not only what our council is doing through the stand-up of our OSI 100 program, our onboarding initiative, which is now nested with our Field Support Squadron, FSS, our exit survey program, and other initiatives that the council is working on. We also had the opportunity to share about the success of our DO 300 program, what the amazing work our civilian recruitment team is doing, along with our active duty partners, and the exciting work that always resides with our strategic engagement partners through our non-federal entities, Noble, HAFCOA, with WIFL, and things like that. So it was a great opportunity to present to General Brown and the rest of the MAJCOM commanders. And I had my bench strength with me, General Bullard, Baumgardner, Chief Gow, Mr. Sunderbrook, Colonel Hudson. So it was just an amazing opportunity to highlight OSI at that level.
Oh, no doubt about it. And when you get the backing of senior leadership on OSI's end, you go, they say there's strength in numbers, and that's certainly a pretty strong lineup there, if you will, Jakki. Now that we're halfway through 2022 and time seems to just be flying by, what's the latest on the Diversity Plus Inclusion Council tenure, and what new initiatives are on their horizon? I know senior leadership has been very interested in that.
Yes, they are. Our newest council was just brought on in March of 2022, so this past year, and their tenure runs through 2024. This year, we grew the council to also expand our reach command-wide. So the Diversity Plus Inclusion Council consists of a cross-functional council, 35 members, military, civilian, professional staff, agent, intelligence specialists, IMAs. So we're excited to have that diversity within our council. New to this selection process this year was we did a blind review process, meaning we took all of the applications that we received, and we received an upwards of 60 plus applications. Wow. And we have removed the names from those applications. And that helps us to reduce our own biases when we know someone. So we want to, tend to lean in and pick that person because they may remind us of ourselves or somebody we know.
So it's strictly on qualifications then. Is that a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment. And that actually leads right into my point. We actually just focused on their why. Why did they want to serve on the Diversity Plus Inclusion Council to advance OSI's diversity plus inclusion priorities? So after that, after reviewing and rating, over 85% of the council that was selected identified within the commands and societies demographics. So that let us know that we have a good process for selection. We have the right individuals at the right time interested in serving on this council, and their why was so compelling that it just fell out organically. Wow. That's how the selection process occurred. So we are very excited about introducing that into our process. Our council reps were excited to learn that that's how their selection actually occurred, and that it just kind of reinforces biases show up in different ways, but we try to eliminate those as much as possible.
Right. Sounds like another win-win for them and for the command as far as selecting the best of the best.
It is. And some of the initiatives that we've charged this council with during their tenure is to assist the OSI career field managers with the barrier analysis activities, the continuous review of OSI policies and programs for barriers to success, and to continue to stay partner with our command recruitment office on efforts and leverage those opportunities to participate in recruitment events. Wow. In addition, one of our newest council reps is in the initial stages of developing a Tough Talk series that walks teammates through various diversity inclusion scenarios to include generational diversity, cultural diversity, gender identity, etc. And we see this as a platform to create another tool for our teammates to use to have those crucial conversations and learn more about each other. As a matter of fact, we'll be meeting with you soon at the end of the month to kind of lay the foundation for this, what our thoughts were, and see how this initiative can complement the good work that our PA team and you have already been doing.
Yeah, so thank you for that spoiler alert. That's great. It's we're going to be talking to a couple of movers and shakers down at the academy down in Georgia about this, who are laying all the groundwork and gathering background information and content and things like that. So it'll be interesting to hammer out the logistics and to tie it all in with the overriding podcast initiative that General Bullitt is so high on. So again, thanks for that bit of plug on that, Jakki. You're doing great on 2 for 2 on plugs today. That's great. Now, one area that the senior leadership is particularly interested in concerns assisting OSI career field managers with barrier analysis activities to bolster the total force. Jakki, where does that effort stand right now as we speak?
Yes, so in March, when we brought the new council on board, we also provided an orientation. And at that time, Colonel Hudson, who also serves as the Force Development Director and Officer Agent Career Field Manager, provided the council a great overview of some of the expectations in this area that we'd like for the council to assist our career field managers. One of the great things about being within OSI is that we have the opportunity to intimately learn about each other, our career paths, what's going on in each of our teammates' professional and personal lives. So it gives us a huge advantage over much larger career fields with knowing who our individuals are and what's really going on within their life cycle, their career life cycles. So taking that information that Colonel Hudson provided to the council, we're going to use that information to action plan. Whenever there's a developmental team that occurs for the officer, civilian, or enlisted side, they're required as the career field team to develop an action plan that identifies triggers or barriers. So for our audience that may not be familiar with barrier analysis, a trigger is a trend or a disparity or anomaly that suggests the need for inquiry into a personal policy, practice, or procedure. Essentially, it's a red flag, letting us know that there's a policy that requires further review. And then a barrier is any policy, procedure, practice, or condition that effectively limits opportunities for individuals of any particular race, ethnicity, background, sex, etc., to include individuals with disabilities. So armed with this information from our career field teams, we can then, as a council, identify areas in the career field cycle or lifespan that we need to take a harder look at for potential barriers, review that data to determine if there are any triggers in our policy, and then just further assess what may be driving or causing those barriers. And from that, assist the career field managers in their action planning. What are ways that we can eliminate and reduce those barriers?
Right. Well, obviously that kind of partnership is going to go a long way within the command. And speaking of partnerships, as we go to our next question, partnerships up and down the board have been long a staple for OSI. How is partnering with fellow agencies like NCIS, which is the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, on special observance months progressing? We've had a lot of specialty months of late, especially.
Yes, we have, and it has been beyond outstanding and continues to bear great fruit. We learn more and more about each other in these sessions too, not only our similarities as investigative agencies, but our differences as teammates. NCIS learns from us, we learn from them, and it just bolsters our collaboration efforts. I definitely see this partnership transcending to other agencies within the building as they too stand up their diversity and inclusion spaces and programs to assess additional opportunities to just grow and learn from each other. Last month, for example, we had the opportunity to hear from NASA astronaut Sunita Williams, who is also a retired Navy captain. And to hear her share her experiences and love of story, it was a lasting experience. And not only that, it allowed the teammates in the room, we were in the Russell Knox building conducting this session, but we had 2 or 3 individuals in the room that had children that are interested in being astronauts. And they were going to share this podcast with their children as a way to see that you can be what you see just listening to astronaut Williams' story. So I continue to be amazed by the talent in OSI and other agencies, and definitely look forward to future partnerships with NCIS and other agencies.
No doubt about that. When you can get kind of quote unquote celebrity names like astronauts in there, it's got to have a lasting impact. No doubt about that. Now, Jakki, you recently wrote an article for our public website and social media platforms on the new and improved OSI exit survey, and you mentioned exit survey briefly earlier. Now, for our listeners not familiar with an exit survey, what is it, and what's the status of OSI's latest version?
Well, thank you so much for asking about the exit survey, Wayne. In a nutshell, exit surveys help us learn why teammates stay, why they leave, and how OSI needs to change. We're living in highly competitive times now, and this is another tool to help us retain talent. And sometimes it's hard to kind of turn that corner and say, but you want to retain talent, but you're giving it to you're using an exit survey to do that. Well, it's the information that we get from our personnel that are departing that is very helpful in allowing us to determine what policies, programs that we have in place right now that we may need to improve for generations to come. Mm-hmm. And it will help not only us, but it will help future leaders within OSI to take this information and proactively influence change as needed. As everyone is aware, General Bullard released the exit survey this month, the new and improved version, which is an automated tool, no longer a PDF file, but you can do it via a link or a QR code. And the Force Development Directorate will be responsible for managing it. In addition, we've asked our OSI Field Support Squadron, FSS, and our OSI Directorate of Personnel and Manpower to add this link and QR code to all out processing checklists immediately so that we can begin to pull in that information. This will be followed by email reminders to departing personnel. So this has truly been a labor of love by the Diversity Plus Inclusion Council to include several internal and external partners. Right. And just a little quick pitch here. The exit survey was released on the 2nd of June, and we already have over 20 responses in our cycle right now. So we're quite excited about this.
Well, it sounds like the latest version, Jakki, has hit the street running, if you will.
Yes, it has, Wayne. We are very excited about it.
Now, shifting to the Department of the Air Force Office of Diversity and Inclusion, what can OSI look forward to coming down the road from their efforts?
Well, the DAF across the board can look forward to exciting changes within diversity plus inclusion, positive changes, and ways that we can look at proactively measuring what our outcomes are in diversity plus inclusion. And just for our listeners, in late 2020, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion moved under the Secretary of the Air Force from the A1 community, which is personnel and manpower community.
Right.
This was an important and significant change for diversity and inclusion across the DAF, as it provides the proper leadership and organizational accountability and allows all of us to have standard measurements in hiring, force development, promotion, retention, and organizational climate. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to some of the standard measurements that the DAF will begin to apply to the rest of us and how we can implement those within OSI. We'll also begin to see improved focus on opportunities across the DAF for all personnel in professional development, personal development, family initiatives. There'll also be intentional development of training courses aimed at developing inclusive leaders. How does an inclusive leader show up? What are some attributes we should look for? Right. And then also lastly is infusing artificial intelligence into our unconscious bias training, how we can leverage that tool across the DAF. As I talk about that, I'll actually be going TDY next week to participate in training with some other diversity inclusion officers from the DAF and to bring that back to our council and the leadership team to see how we'll roll it out in OSI.
Well, it certainly sounds like continuity across the board is going to be a watchword for the entire, D+I initiative, and that's a good thing. So people will know where everybody is standing, no matter, regardless of what organization they're with.
Yes, it will be. It will be, and it'll allow us to kind of benchmark with each other. If ACC has the best practice they're using and the data is starting to show that, then we can go to ACC and pull that over into OSI and see if it is a good cultural fit for us too. So I'm definitely excited about the standardization piece.
Very, very good. Now, Jakki, I recently, and I've been around for a while, you know me, I've been around the block a little while too. I recently saw an unfamiliar acronym. It was DEIA. Now, I figured out that the D+I, what that stood for, diversity and inclusion. But what do the initials E and A stand for in that acronym? And I understand it's part of a Department of the Air Force strategic plan. Is that right?
Yes, it is. So the latest additions to the D+I family are E and A, as you mentioned. E is for equity and A is for accessibility. In January of 2021, they were infused via Executive Order 14035 that added equity and accessibility to the diversity plus inclusion space.
Right.
Equity, just a short definition, is the consistent and systemic, fair, just, and impartial treatment of all individuals. Mm-hmm. And accessibility is the design or the construction, development, and maintenance of facilities, information, communication technology, programs, and services so that all people, including people with disabilities, can fully and independently use them. Under this area, we also hear the word access used too, interchangeably with accessibility. So you'll see both words used, but the intent is to create a space for all individuals to grow and flourish.
I see. Okay. Well, again, I've seen a lot of acronyms in my time, and I'm glad you educated me on that one. That's for sure. Now,
Jakki, Wayne, before we move on, I would say that as a result of that executive order, federal agencies across the DAF and all levels, federal government agencies, were to implement their respective DE&I strategy plans. The updated DAF strategy is pending release in the coming weeks. I've had an advanced peek of it and look forward to the implementation and subsequent updates to OSI's Diversity Plus Inclusion Action Plan, because as a agency, we'll also need to incorporate equity and accessibility into our own learning.
Right. Well, as you mentioned before, I think evolution is a key component of OSI's initiative. Nothing stays the same forever. It has to evolve, I guess, with the times. Is that also a fair assessment?
Yes, it is. It is. We're definitely living in some ever-changing times, and so I'm just excited to be a part of this process right now.
It certainly sounds like it, Jakki. Now, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we say so long?
Well, I can honestly say, team, this has been a fast 3.5 years. And my hope is that we continue to embrace diversity plus inclusion as leadership competencies that assess the knowledge, ability, and capability of all individuals, then deliberately understand and apply diversity and inclusion competencies to the OSI and DAF mission execution. So it is just so important that when we think about diversity plus inclusion, it's more than that demographic piece that we tend to see. It's the beauty of leveraging other facets of diversity, such as diversity of thought, our differences in work style, thinking, learning, how we interact as teams and groups, gaining experiences from cultural groups through our global interactions, and then taking this piece and ensuring that through inclusion, all personnel are free to make their fullest contributions to the OSI and DAF mission, and there are no unnecessary barriers to success. So ultimately, I think if we extend grace to each other daily and be willing to learn something new, we are going to win in the diversity plus inclusion space.
Well said, Jakki. Our guest has been Ms. Jakki Dixon, OSI's Chief Diversity Plus Inclusion Officer. Jakki, thanks so much again for taking the time to be with us. It's always great to chat with you.
Yes, you too, Wayne. Thank you.
And thanks to all of you listening for tuning in. For OSI Today, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.